Neighbor blows air horn at our dog, and my brother has the sudden desire to practice his guitar on the back porch. So I've lived in this house for 2 years with my brother. The neighbors work nights and have woken us up every morning they have work. See, their driveway is 5 feet from our bedrooms. They like to take Bluetooth phone calls in their cars when they get home. I can hear these calls on the opposite side of my house, let alone 5 feet away through my bedroom wall. When I got my dog and she started deterring the phone calls by barking at them when she was outside, I kind of thought it was funny, until the neighbor guy started blowing an air horn at her. The first time I took it as a sign that I was being a bad owner and installed dog bark deterrents outside. Thing is, this guy leaves his house to do yard work once a week and get the mail once a day. I bring her inside whenever I see him outside, but sometimes I don't catch her in time. The dog bark deterrent battery died earlier today too, so I'm relaxing in my living room and here comes the air horn. My brother got sick of it and felt a sudden compulsion to set up his guitar and amp on the back porch. 15 minutes into his impromptu concert, I hear yelling. I go outside and the neighbor is screaming at my brother that he's an asshole, and he already spoke to me lie and said that if he's outside then bring the dog inside. He and the wife who had been hovering by the door storm inside. My brother is considering practicing every afternoon when he comes home from work. From the comments, that's the one we use. Our neighbors are seasonal, so my dogs never really get used to them. They have a large dog that never barks, but mine get excited when he's there and want to get his attention. We put that device on our shared fence, and it works on one of my dogs. The other gets way too excited and doesn't care. Oh, I was worried that excitement would keep it from working for my girl, but it doesn't seem to. She actually knows where I've placed them and will get 2 or 3 barks in before she stops. I think part of it is that I tried training her not to bark beforehand. It falls apart if I'm not outside with her to tell her to stop the moment she starts, but the bark deterrents do that for me now. They really are godsends. Update 1. So my neighbor called out to me over the fence today and started a conversation about my dog barking. Essentially it was, I don't know what's up with your brother, I've never even spoken to him, I've hardly spoken to you. But your dog barks at me when I leave my house and it bothers me. He stated that he tried speaking kindly to her over the fence at first, but lost his temper and escalated. He then suggested that I try a shock collar because, if you use it right, it doesn't really hurt them. He also offered to buy one for me and said that both he and his son used it to train their dogs when they had them. I tried to ask what times he is outside so I can keep her inside when he's outside. He told me that his doctor's appointments are sporadic, so he doesn't know when he will leave his house. So he wants me to stop her from barking at all. Like, it bothers him when she barks at him when he leaves his house, walks a foot to his car, gets in and leaves. This happens maybe once a week, which I know because of a combination of me hardly letting her outside without me and security cameras. I offered to give him my number so he could text me if she's bothering him. He said, I don't text, and I had no way to contact you about this unless I catch you when you're outside. So I just got a new job and I think I'm going to save up and replace my chain link fence with a privacy fence because I am done dealing with this guy. Update 2. So I just got my fence built and I love it. It's 6 privacy double board. My neighbors seem happy because I removed an annoying tree to build the new fence. They actually delivered Christmas goodies for me and my dog over the chain link a few days before it was replaced. I also discovered after having the fence built without checking my survey report and quietly freaking out before heading to my county property details page that part of their driveway is on my property, so no need to worry about them claiming the fence as theirs. My dog also passed intermediate dog training, and the trainer told me she would be a great candidate for the good citizenship test. So my neighbor is being less of a jerk, and the problem is resolved. 10-10 outcome. To everyone calling me a horrible dog owner in the comments, I tried training her myself. I tried 2 professional dog trainers. I tried ultrasonic dog bark deterrents. I tried exercising her so that she was exhausted. I tried keeping her in the house. I finally realized that it was barrier aggression, but was unemployed and unable to afford a fence. Luckily, I found a job and was able to scrape together some money from my first few paychecks and my savings to have the fence replaced. That also required me to chop down a few 8 hedges by hand and hire someone to chop down a mature tree that was growing in the fence, which my neighbor was ecstatic about because it means less cleanup and maintenance for him. I've only owned this house for 2 years and hadn't had the chance to get to that part of the yard yet, and really should have saved the money for replacing my plumbing. But yeah, after thousands of dollars and all that effort, I'm a horrible dog owner. What would you have me do differently? From the comments, well, this isn't petty revenge, but it is good neighboring. You actually took steps to solve the problem, put up a fence, trained your dog, instead of escalating, and your neighbor appreciates it. Oh, P, thank you. Honestly, I think the goodies might have been for cutting down the tree and hedges more than the fence. The tree was a pecan that hovered directly over their shed and dropped leaves and nuts on the roof. Next to it were 2 8 privacy hedges that were overgrown and nasty looking. Even when we were talking, the neighbor looked annoyed at the branches poking him in the face, and I could tell he regularly took a chainsaw to the branches on his side of the fence. His lot is almost entirely clear for easy maintenance, so I would imagine this annoyed him. I actually saw him when I was using my chainsaw to take the hedges down, and he waved. I'm so glad it turned out this way. I was actually considering reaching out and asking if it would be okay for me to stain their side of the fence in spring to protect it from weathering and make it look better, but am not sure yet. I'm caught between that might be intrusive and it never hurts to ask. Story 2. It's the little things. Bully neighbor. I lived in the upstairs unit of a 2-unit condo converted house nearly 20 years ago. Had a great neighbor below me, but then she moved out and a horrible man moved in. The first thing he did was leave a note that the garbage can I had just moved back from the street was his, and claimed that he had moved it. I ignored it because WTF, but his anger increased with another note saying I'd better not use his garbage can and to move the other one back now. He put the note on his trash can and moved it to the middle of the walkway so I couldn't miss it. I did what he wanted because I was pretty unnerved by that point and thought it would end the bizarre exchange. No such luck. It happened again, but then he was yelling in my face instead of leaving notes. He was a big guy and scared me enough to give in. After that, I went to stay with my boyfriend for a while. Before I left, I decided on some petty revenge. I set my alarm for 4 a.m., turned the volume all the way up, and set it on the floor of my bedroom. It was an old radio alarm that stayed on for an hour after the set time. I wasn't sure if he would be able to hear it since I'd never heard either neighbor. I wasn't even sure if his bedroom was below mine. To be ho, I figured it probably wasn't going to work and forgot about it for a few months until my boyfriend, and I decided to make the move permanent. I went over there to start packing and found his outraged voice messages. He didn't know my phone number, so he had to contact the owner. There were no messages a few weeks prior, so it took that long for him to get my number. He must have pounded on my door many times before the owner finally gave him my number. She only had my landline, so he had to wait until I was there to get the messages. From the comments, landlord had no business giving your phone number to a total stranger. Oh, P, my thoughts too, but he probably hounded her so much that she gave in like I did. For that I can't blame her. And she was an older woman, which 20 years later I can now also appreciate.